Hi, I'm Ava Osborne. I'm from Telluride High School, and my internship was at Asteroid Day in Luxembourg. So, a little bit about asteroids. They're small rocky objects that orbit the sun. So, basically, Asteroid Day is on June 31st, and I spent 3 weeks preparing for it. It is all about planetary defense, which is about asteroids hitting the Earth. Sounds very science fiction-y, but it's very real. And NASA and ESA, the European Space Agency, is working really hard to try to solve this problem. Okay, so space resources is also a very up-and-coming thing about asteroids that I was learning about. Mining asteroids so we don't continue to mine the Earth and ruin things. So that's a very good idea that they're working on. Okay, so this was the first event that went down, and the technical briefing. This was like probably the coolest thing I've ever seen. So I don't know if you can see, but there's 5 guys sitting up there. Those are all astronauts and cosmonauts, which are astronauts from Russia and Romania. But so and engineers and scientists would come up one by one and present to this panel of astronauts, and then they would present about like what missions they were working on, or like what telescopes they were talking about, and then the astronauts got to question them and question their missions and what their science was, and it got very heated, and there's money involved, and it was very intense, and I was just sitting in the back like just watching all these brilliant minds converse, and it was really cool because it was like, this is how science happens, really smart people talking to each other. So, okay, yesterday, the Hera mission launches. So it's not launching in 2024, it lands in 2024. That's a slideshow mistake. But, so, the DART mission launched in 2020, and it is what you may be hearing about in the news. So they sent up this $1 million spacecraft to slam into an asteroid and see how far it knocks off its path. So the impact is going to happen on October 7th, and then the Hera mission that just launched yesterday will arrive about 2 years later and record exactly what went down, and then it'll send it back to Earth, and we can know if this way will help us if an asteroid is coming towards the Earth, if this is a viable solution. So it's pretty cool. The actual Asteroid Day was basically a live stream of all of these astrophysicists and astronauts talking about planetary defense, and it was streamed all across the world. I think we had about like 20,000 viewers, which was a lot, and I think the new movie on Netflix, the Don't Look Up movie, helped our ratings a lot, so, that's really good. So my job, my internship was not very science-based, but it was in Europe, so I decided to go anyway. So my job was to check in speakers, and I had like a mic set on, and like people would come down the staircase, and I had to intercept these really smart, intelligent people and be like, please go to makeup, and then go on stage. So that was really cool that I just got to interact with them. And as we'll talk about more, talking to people and making connections was like a really big thing for me here. So the gala dinner, this was the only event that the interns got to kind of relax. There were 5 other interns, and we got to enjoy this really fancy meal that they put together, and there's a giant cake and some astronauts around it. So this was really great. It was like the end of all this work that we did, and we finally got to be appreciated, and it was, very nice. Okay. Life in Luxembourg. So I was very lucky with housing. This is a very established, other internship that I just happened got sent to. So I had an intern house with other they were all 24, 26, which was kind of weird being around them, but it was fine. So this was the room that I stayed in one night, and then I got kicked down to an air mattress in the living room. But it was a very comfortable air mattress, and it was all fine. Luxembourg is a beautiful country, very safe, very small, and this is one of the courtyards, and I went on this walking path every day that was in my house. It was very nice. Okay, so this is another very fun thing that I got to do, just being in Europe. I got to have a day trip to Germany, which I'd never been before. And I went with, these are the other interns that I went with, and we got on a train. It was like an hour train ride, and then we were in Germany and like walked around. Okay, this guy, he was he was one of the other interns, but he was the youngest person to ever discover a planet. His name is Tom, and he got his undergraduate degree in Harvard, and now he's getting his PhD in astrophysics at University of Washington, and I am still in contact with him. He read my college application, and he's like really helping me a lot, so just making connections is very cool. And he let me read his like PhD thesis and all of his stuff, which was really neat. Okay, advice for future Pinterns. Learn to adapt. I was there for 3 weeks, so my internship wasn't very long. But I really struggled being in a different country for the first week. I didn't know anybody, and that was really hard for me, especially like living in Telluride where I know everybody, and I've just never been put in that type of situation before. I think it really helped me, though, coming back. I was much more sure of myself, more sure of what I wanted to pursue, and that was really cool. Talk to people about your interests. So I was just talking to one of my mentors, and I mentioned School of Mines, and then she was able, I just mentioned conversation, and then a couple days later, a man approached me and was like, oh, hey, can I talk to you for a second? And he was a School of Mines graduate, and I ended up getting like a letter of recommendation from him, and he offered me like an internship at Lunar Outpost, which is a space organization, and it was just cool. He talked to me for a while, and we were just conversating, so. Be aware of your surroundings. Just when you're in these big situations, it's important to know who you're talking to and be respectful always, obviously. Make friends, as I was saying. The more people you talk to, the more connections you make, which was a struggle for me. I didn't really like talking to everybody, and that was something that I definitely learned about, is that I want to be a scientist and I do not want to deal with people. So that's definitely a win for Pinhead. Recognize this, it's a small part of your life. So if you're stressed out or if you're not having a good time in the moment, just know that looking back on it, it's very beneficial for college, and you take a lot away. You take a lot more than you give, I would say. And that's thanks to Sarah Holbrook. Okay, which brings me to my next slide. Thank you to Sarah Holbrook and my mentors, who are all women, so yay, women in STEM, okay? Thank you.